One of the strongest features in Toon Boom Animate is the colors palette. And this is also true actually with their other pieces of software like Toon Boom Studio as well as Toon Boom Harmony. In addition to having like over 100 colors there by default, you can also create custom colors, and each of the colors you create can be updated dynamically should you decide to change something or if your client decides to change something later. Other features include being able to have multiple palettes within one document. For instance, if you have several characters, you might have a character named Donnie. He has his own palette, and you may have a character named George. And you can even have separate palettes for whether it's nighttime or daytime. And last but not least, you can also import images and then sample colors from there. So I want to do a quick overview and show you a lot of these techniques. Now, when you first open or create a document, you have all of these colors here by default, and these are pretty decent colors. And the name of my document right now is called Drawing, and this document has its own palette. So if I go up here in my colors menu to look at the palette list, or the list view here, it shows that I have the drawing palette, and that's what this default palette is. Now, I want to go ahead and create a new palette, and this is a good practice if you're creating a new document. Instead of having over 100 colors, you want to start building a limited palette to work from. So simply come up here to the drop-down menu, go Palettes, New, and I'm going to create a sketch palette. This is usually the colors that I work with when working on a new design. So simply click OK. So now we have these two palettes here, and we only have one color in our sketch. So I'm going to click the plus button to add a new color. Now, whatever color you had selected initially is what it's going to base its new color on. So I'm going to double click to edit this. You have two choices. You can use the multi-wheel or the single color wheel. So this is the single wheel here. So if I click, you can also see the multi-wheel. Me personally, I like to work with the single wheel. So let's go back. And this is going to be my sketch blue. And this is based off of the color erase blue pencils that traditional animators use. So I set mine to 50 red, 130 green, and 200 for blue. And the alpha, or the transparency, I'm going to set it to 70. Now, to show you the difference here, I'm going to select our default black color here. And I don't want to actually do this in the camera view. I'm going to click over to the drawing view and select my brush tool. And I'm just going to draw a bunch of little circles here. I'm going to adjust my brush size simply by holding down the O key. I'm going to click and drag and get a pretty large brush here. So I'm just going to draw a couple little circles here. And what I want to show you with the sketch blue is it works with this little transparency. So with the sketch blue, I can work really quickly and not worry about the areas getting too muddy. Now, another thing I want to show you how to do is how to create custom colors based off of images. So we're going to create another palette. And we'll just simply call this Vintage. And I'm going to go back to my camera view for a moment here. And let's go ahead and select all of this and delete. And I'm going to import an image, and let's go to File, Import, Images. We'll browse, and I found a public domain comic book because I like the colors here, and it's something about these classic colors that have this really rich feel to them. So I'm importing this image. I want to create a new layer, and the rest of this I'm going to leave it at its default. So click OK. And so if I select this layer, and let's go ahead and grab my transform tool. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. And what I want to do now, let's deselect this. I'm going to add a new color. I'm going to double click. And the first one I'll do is the red. So I'll grab this eyedropper here, select red, and we'll simply call this Vintage Red. And I'm going to go over here without closing my window. I'm going to add another color. Grab my dropper. This will be Vintage Yellow. Add one more color. And we'll make this the green. All right, so I'm going to grab our default color black. Let's grab our brush one more time. And we have our several colors here. Let's grab our paint bucket. We'll fill one with red. Fill one with yellow, fill one with green. And these look okay now, but here's the other awesome thing about working with colors in Toon Boom. You can automatically update these colors. For instance, I think that this black doesn't really work, and we probably need a vintage black to go with that as well. So what we're needing to do is update the default color. So I'm going to select my select tool here and make sure that nothing is selected in our camera view. I'm going to double click on default. I'm going to click the eyedropper here, and I'm going to select this part of the black here. Just find a black that I think works. All right. And now if we look in our camera view, we can see that this color has been updated. Let's take a look at this in our drawing view, and we can see how the colors work. So when it comes to colors in Toon Boom Animate, whether you're using the default colors or if you're creating colors specifically to work on your sketches, or even importing colors from different images, you have plenty of options to work with.